And this is one of the most important feeding grounds and feeding aggregations of fin whales off northern Chile. This archipelago is hugely productive. There are a couple of submarine canyons that also feed the coastal system. We've just seen
I know.
50 fin whales.
Ridiculous amount.
Huge amounts of fin whales, 20 minutes, from the dock, feeding off these dense aggregations of krill. So what we're doing is studying the krill, we're studying the whales, we're tagging the whales, and we're trying to better understand this super productive ecosystem in the Humboldt Current, right? And trying to improve protection for these huge endangered species.
Hello and welcome to the Ocean News Podcast, a series in which we take a deeper dive into some of the most important news stories and the biggest headlines from the oceanographic newsroom. I'm Rob Hutchins, community editor here at Oceanographic, and in today's episode, we have a story about a truly remarkable milestone in global marine conservation, a decision that not only protects an enormous area of the Pacific Ocean, but also shows what's possible when governments, conservation groups and coastal communities work together. Because Chile has just created one of the largest fully protected marine areas on the planet. And the story behind it is just as inspiring as the scale of the protection itself. Yesterday, on the 11th of March, Chile brought in a new president, Jose Antonio Cast, anticipated to be the country's most right-wing leader since Augusto Pinochet. Prior to this change, Chile's president was Gabriel Boric, a man who had led the country since 2022. In a final flourish in the final days of his leadership, just before leaving office, Boric signed a decree granting full protection to some 360,000 square kilometres of ocean surrounding the remote islands of the Juan Fernández archipelago and the Nazca Desventuradas marine park. Once the protections are fully implemented, the region will have 946,571 square kilometres of ocean under full protection. This will make it the third largest fully protected marine area in the world, behind only the Ross Sea Marine Protected Area in Antarctica and the Papahānaumokuākea Marine National Monument in Hawaii. But this isn't just a story about the size of your marine protected area. It's a story about collaboration. The push for these protections actually began with the people who live there. Residents of the Juan Fernández Islands, a small community in the remote Pacific, submitted a proposal last year calling for expanded conservation across their surrounding waters. For generations, the community has relied upon the ocean. Their famous lobster fishery has been sustainably managed since 1890, making it one of the longest-running examples of community-led fisheries management anywhere in the world. For local leaders, protecting the ocean isn't just about biodiversity. It's about culture, livelihoods, and it's about the future. Pablo Manriquez Angulo, the mayor of Robinson Crusoe Island himself, has said that the decision reflects the heart of the community. Expanding marine protections, he explained, means safeguarding both the ecosystem and the traditions that connect the people of the islands to the sea. The waters around the Juan Fernández and the Desventuradas Islands are extraordinary. They sit along a vast underwater mountain chain that supports an exceptional concentration of endemic species, animals found nowhere else on Earth. Among them is the Juan Fernández fur seal, once hunted to near extinction but now recovering thanks to conservation efforts. These waters also support lobsters, octopus, and countless fish species, as well as migratory wildlife like whales, dolphins, turtles, and seabirds. Protecting such habitats at this scale helps preserve entire ecosystems, from the sea floor to the surface. Speaking with oceanographic columnist and international MPA specialist Max Bello, the British marine biologist Susie Buchan, a research associate at University of Concepcion, had this to say.
Yeah, so I've been living and working in Chile for 20 years and working here for the last 10 years and now living in Chañaral Aceituno in northern Chile. We are in the Humboldt archipelago, which are some coastal islands off central northern Chile. And this is one of the most important feeding grounds and feeding aggregations of fin whales off northern Chile. This archipelago is hugely productive. There are a couple of submarine canyons that also feed the coastal system. We've just seen 50 fin whales.
Ridiculous amount.
Huge amounts of fin whales, 20 minutes, from the dock, feeding off these dense aggregations of krill. So what we're doing is studying the krill, we're studying the whales, we're tagging the whales, and we're trying to better understand this super productive ecosystem in the Humboldt Current, right? And trying to improve protection for these huge endangered species. We've now got a marine protected area in the whole of the Humboldt archipelago, and it is an area where people come to see the whales, to see marine otters, to see penguins, to see kelp forests, the whole lot. And what we're working towards is a good management plan for the MPA that excludes big industrial projects like mega ports for mining, for example. Big shipping lanes is what we want to exclude from this area, and see this really, protected for science, for marine, biodiversity, and also for the local people, for fishermen and the tour operators that live from this marine ecosystem.
The designation also builds on years of conservation progress. Chile already had a network of marine protected areas, one that covered more than 580,000 square kilometres around the archipelagos. The new decree significantly strengthens that protection by ensuring that much larger areas are now fully protected, meaning activities like industrial fishing and extractive industries are prohibited. And globally, the announcement positions Chile firmly among the leaders in ocean protection. With this decision, more than half of Chile's exclusive economic zone is now protected, placing it alongside countries like French Polynesia and Panama at the forefront of marine conservation. The move also contributes to the international effort known as the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Under that agreement, countries have committed to protecting at least 30% of the world's ocean by the year 2030. Achieving that goal will require large-scale protected areas like this one, and that's where partnerships have been crucial. Organizations including Blue Marine Foundation, Pew Bertarelli Ocean Legacy, Island Conservation, and the Fundación Patagonia Azul worked alongside the local Juan Fernández Marine Organization to help develop and advance the proposal. Max Bello, that global marine protected area specialist working with Blue Marine Foundation, was in the room when the decree was signed. Reporting for Oceanographic from the palace, he had this to say.
And I'm here in the palace in Chile, where the President Boris just a few minutes ago signed the decree that expands the protection in Juan Fernández and Desventuradas archipelago, which will take Chile over 50%. It's actually 54% of protection of the highest quality. It's an incredible achievement that shows the leadership of Chile. This is a good news, not just for Chile and not just to the world, but also to the communities, because it was a community who was actually pushing this. This is a community, the Blue Marine, Pew Bertarelli Ocean Legacy, Island Conservation, Fundación Patagonia Azul, and many others have helped to get their dream of conservation. Fishermen who have been working so hard in sustainable fishing, but also on creating these no-take marine protected areas. This is a moment in time that we're going to remember. This is historic, and we're very happy here, and you should be happy too.
Protections of this scale are exactly what the world needs as we approach 2030. If more countries followed Chile's example, he said, the global community could protect far more than the 30% target needed to halt biodiversity loss. For local leaders like Julio Camaro Solis, president of the Juan Fernández Community Marine Organization, the meaning of this decision is very clear. By expanding protections now, he says, future generations will inherit healthy oceans, thriving fisheries, and the cultural traditions that have long connected the people of the islands to their marine environment. Chile's new marine protected area shows that conservation doesn't have to come at the expense of communities. In fact, when local knowledge, government leadership, and international support come together, the results can be transformative for people and for the ocean. It's hoped that from this lessons can be learned, especially for protections closer to home. The UK government has itself been criticised for wielding a far softer grasp of its protected marine areas, allowing for destructive fishing practices to continue within many of them. It's an approach that has left many feeling frustrated over the protections that have been likened to little more than lines on a map. In a world racing to protect 30% of the ocean by 2030, Chile's decision sends a powerful message that large-scale ocean protection is possible, and it works best when the people who depend on the ocean are leading the way. If you'd like to learn more about this story or other stories about marine protected areas around the world, then subscribe to this podcast or head to the Oceanographic Newsroom. This has been the Ocean News Podcast. I've been Rob Hutchins, and thank you for listening.